Hey guys, it's Tessa. For me, it is only the middle of December, but as mentioned in the title of this video, I figured firstly I'd get started on this early and then work on it through the month of December here. But I have been doing a very secret project, which has been keeping all of my yarn labels. I got this idea from Passionate Kelsey. She usually does like every few months. She does a like how much yarn did I use in a month. I'm taking this up a notch, okay? And I'm doing how much yarn did I use in a year, okay? As a lot of you know, this year has been very exciting with a lot of new experiences for me, like doing my first market, really having my business start taking off. I made a fair amount of projects for myself. I've explored a bunch of different yarn types and things like that. And so throughout this year, I've been sticking everything in this bag, and I am starting now, gonna go through and start cataloging all of this. I have a spreadsheet here up on my computer that includes all of the yarn brands and then all of the like types, like loops and threads. Impeccable is on that list. Soft Classics on that list under loops and threads, or for like Caron, I have like Caron cakes and Caron macchiato cakes, and then I have the 1 pounds, so on and so forth. Same idea with like Lion Brand. I've used a couple pound of Loves, I believe, and I've also used a handful of Heartland. But yeah, so the whole point is I'm gonna go through all of this here. I'm gonna go through all of it that I currently have now, and I'm just gonna go through this and start figuring this shit out. All right, I'm estimating, I don't know, I don't want to go crazy. I'm gonna estimate like 100 maybe. I say I'm not gonna go crazy, that's so much yarn. I'm gonna guess 100. I'm gonna guess about 100. Put your guesses below. Let me know how close you were. I'm kind of scared to know how much yarn I use this year. This also goes into the whole reason why I want to stash bus and all of this is, like, if I were to use this much yarn this year, one, there's still some time left, and two, this is crazy. This is so much yarn. This is crazy. This does not look like a very big bag, but like it's filled to the top, okay? Like the bag is breaking because it's so full, all right? So like I'm a little nervous. I'm gonna get started on cataloging, all right? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Also, I love me a Diet Dr. Pepper mini. All right, guys. So my total was really low. My guess was really low. My total is 209 skeins of yarn. I should note specifically when I put the labels in here, this was only after I used either the entire skein or only had a like small ball scraps worth amount left. At that point, there's not much I can do with it besides chucking it in my scraps bag. So I used all of this, if not almost all of it, to say. 209 is insane. That means over the course of 12 months, I averaged about 17 and a half skeins of yarn. That's crazy. 17? That's more than two. Nope, that's wrong. That's one every 2-ish days, which is crazy. Not even. It's one every like 1.5-ish days. It's insane. I did not think I could. I don't know what number I thought. It's so much yarn. The breakdown I will include right here, and I will also talk about. I will note this year's kind of a weird year because this is when Joann's went under and filed bankruptcy and closed all their locations. So predominantly before this year, this is before Joann's closed all their locations and went bankrupt and all of that. But before this year, Big Twist was my primary yarn. my primary like worsted yarn that I would use. But my Big Twist total for Big Twist Value, Supernova, and Value Worsted, Supernova, and the Posh / Plush. I only used one of each of those, so I kind of just counted them in the same category since they're basically the same thing. I only used a total of 14 skeins of yarn, which is so little. But again, I also didn't stock any of my Big Twist before Joann's closed. Like, I didn't go and buy a shit ton of it when it was all on sale because they only had like 2 colors in stock at a time usually at my location, and they weren't colors I was ever going to use anyway, so there's no reason for me to stock up on it. But because of Joann's closing, I did end up switching my primary yarn to originally Impeccable by Loops and Thread because that was the closest version I could find that had the similar feel to the Big Twist Value. I disdain Red Heart. I very rarely use Red Heart. I don't like using Red Heart very often if I can avoid it. I do like using their ombres and cardigans because I can ombre it with, or I can use a softer like worsted for the secondary color as well. Anyway, but I switched over to Impeccable, which I used a total of 37 skeins of yarn of Impeccable, and then Michaels or Loops and Threads released their Soft Classic, which in my opinion is their best worsted yarn. It has so many colors. It's not thick worsted, but it's not like Impeccable where one shade, like that really light pink shade, is so thin for some reason, but the 2 orange shades are like a normal thickness. It's even. The thicknesses are even. The only critique I would give the Soft Classic is it's kind of a bouncy yarn. Like if you hold a strand like 2 feet wide and you pull it, you'll get extra length out of it without losing some of the width as well, which is interesting. But for Loops and Threads in general, so this also includes any Chanel or Demi Pearl or Sweet Snuggles. It includes all of that. So everything I used under the Loops and Threads brand was 62 balls of yarn, which sounds about right because I had my markets. So I've made a bunch of cardigans this year. I've worked on just a bunch of random projects this year. I've put a couple of video tutorials up recently as well that required me to use about a skein of yarn each. As for Lily Sugar and Cream, I do make tops and bandanas out of this yarn. And occasionally I'll make some other stuff, but for that I only used 26 balls of yarn, which is a little bit surprising because I thought I would have used more, but I'm also not surprised because I don't love working with cotton yarn very often, so I'm simultaneously not really surprised. For Crafter's Secret, which I primarily use their cotton, and I used their Big Idea, which is like their 1 pound, for the spiced latte cardigan I made for the Halloween market. I only used a total of 13 balls of yarn for that. And then I thought I would have more Caron yarn as well. I made that one sweater out of macchiato cakes. I thought I used 4 or 5 skeins, but I only have 4 labels for macchiato, one of which I know went to a hood I made. So not many, but overall for the Caron I used about 5. Lion Brand is where we start getting into the chaos when it comes to Lion Brand. I predominantly used the Heartland and Ferris Wheel. Those are just 2 that I use frequently. I really love Ferris Wheel. I just can't get in any stores near me, which sucks. And I really like Heartland for my Elmwood scarves. But I totaled for Lion Brand 22 balls of yarn. This includes Ferris Wheel, Pound of Love, Heartland, Baby Alpaca, Woolies, it's all of those. But predominantly those categories are Heartland for 11 and Ferris Wheel for 7. Then we get into my Red Heart, which I ended up creating a category for because I used more Red Heart than I thought I would. But it's predominantly the Roll With It Melange. I don't know how to say it. But I used 7 of those, and I used a Jumbo Stripes, so it's only one of those. So 8 for Red Heart. For all of my other / random is my second largest category, obviously because there's more brands in there. But that is 31 balls of yarn, and that includes this one brand called Katona, or the one style called Katona. It's a cotton yarn that I got from my birthday order. Les Petites, which is the mohair I used for my Point Edward mitts. We have Malibu Garrigo, which I also used for the Point Edward mitts. I Love This yarn. I used about 9 skeins of those because I started supplementing at one point when Joann's was closing. Then the Soft Classic was released. 1 of the I Love This Cotton. 3 of Bernat Blanket / Bernat Blanket Brights. I did 1 Yarn Bee, and it's their fur yarn because I couldn't get fur yarn in stores anywhere because Joann's was closing. And then I also did 2 or 3 of the orange yarn for my Daft Days cardigan and 2 so far of the brown yarn for that cardigan. I haven't finished it yet, so I'm estimating it's going to be 3 and 3, not sure yet. And again, that totaled out to 31. My next largest category was actually my drops category. So if you remember, for the drops, I predominantly used it for my halibut sweater, and I've also made a top since then as well using it. But for drops Flora, I used 12 balls of yarn, and then for Kid Silk I used 9. And then I've also used a handful more of the Baby Merino for the brown and green cardigan I'm working on. Still not done with it. Totaling out to 28 skeins of yarn, which is insane. Again, the total of this being 209 is wild. Half of that I probably bought this year. Like, even if we average each skein at like fucking $4 a piece, that's $800. It's crazy. So I'm gonna do this again for 2026 because, you know, obviously stash busting. But I'm very curious to see how the numbers change and the like totals change of what I use. Especially since I know my other category technically is the next largest, but for a couple of those brands I plan to use more of those yarns. Or like for drops, I expect to see that higher number next year because I'm making at least 1 sweater for my husband. I'm working on 1 cardigan still in it. I have 3 tops planned for that yarn as well for this coming year. So I do expect to use a lot more of the drops. I don't expect to use really any big twists because I don't have much of it left, if any. I won't be surprised if the Soft Classic becomes my new primary. Like, I'm so excited to see how this unfolds over the following year. And if that is something you're curious about as well, subscribe. Let me know if your guesses were right, or if you think I'm insane, or you're like, nah, 209, that's nothing. I used whatever. Let me know, because I would love to know. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.